Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today's video is going to be sort of an update video, but it's a brand new video. It is the top 10 complimented fragrances that I had for 2013. So I've already done a fragrance list like this. The link is going to be up right here. That list is essentially all the fragrances that I've kind of come across in all of my time. It includes some, other people's wearings of fragrances and stuff like that. So it's sort of like an all-encompassing list. This list is literally the fragrances that I've worn over the past year. What fragrances get the most compliments? What fragrances get the most notice from people? That's what this list is. So this is a list for 2013. And I want to do one of these every single year just so you can see what fragrances that I wear and which of them get compliments, right? Now, there are no honorable mentions in this video. Again, these are the fragrances that I wear and that, get compliments to me. That said, there's one other important thing that I really wanted to mention regarding fragrances and how they are. There really is these aren't necessarily, a lot of these fragrances are some of my favorites, obviously, because I wear them at times, but this is not a list where I'm simply listing to you the fragrances that I love or the fragrances that I like. A lot of them happen to be that, but they don't fall on this list because of that. This is surely based off of compliment factor. So for example, if a fragrance I wear 10 times, if 8 of the 10 times it got a compliment, then I put it at like 80% or something like that. And that's kind of how I rank these fragrances going through. So it kind of has that blind devotion to it. Now I just happen to like all these fragrances, maybe, and that's because, these are the fragrances that I wear. But yes, this is not, these are the fragrances that I like. This is strictly a compliment video, all right? So let's go ahead and get started with the list. Let's start off at number 10. At number 10, again, no honorable mentions. We have a fragrance that was picked up, I would say pretty recently by me. It was in September of last year, almost a year ago, so it's not really recent anymore. But Chambre Noire from the house of Olfactive Studios. This has appeared on some of my lists as well. For favorite fragrances, I believe I think this may have either landed on winter or fall. I forgot which list this actually landed on, but it definitely landed on one of my lists. And this fragrance, it has this very mysterious, mature nature to it. And it gets compliments from people as they come across and smell me. It's one that has about average projection, has pretty good sillage. When you come in contact, people are going to notice you and they're going to smell it. And this is done pretty well in terms of compliments for me. Chambre Noire coming at number 10. All right. Coming at number 9, we have a classic fragrance, a fragrance that most people know if you're into collecting fragrances. It's none other than Creed's Green Iris Tweed. Green Iris Tweed still is a pretty big compliment getter as far as fragrances go. In fact, I've worn this out a couple of times, especially during spring time, and people who have been with me have recognized the scent. Some of them thought it was cool water, but most people who have recognized the scent or who smell the scent absolutely loved it, and they say as much. Compliment getter, Green Irish Creed, can't really go wrong with it. There's another fragrance that smells sort of similar to this. There's a couple of fragrances. Shea Bond from Bond number 9. Davidoff's Cool Water smells like this, but Green Irish Tweed, this is the one that gets the most compliments out of them for me, and hence is landing on the list. It's a little bit on the expensive, on the pricey side. It retails for around $300, $400. Forgot the exact amount, but you can find it, discounted at some discounted retailers, but you have to watch out. Whatever. Green Irish Tweed, number 9. Number 8. I have another classic fragrance from the house of Jean-Paul Gaultier, La Male. Yes, La Male, it's one of those scents that everyone recognizes, but it does its job. It smells great. It lasts a long time. It lasts you the entire day. You can pick this up. Watch out for fakes. There's a lot of fakes that are wandering around. So this is one that I would actually highly recommend that people don't go on the black market. If you're going to buy the La Male, try and make sure that you're getting the genuine article. So, be careful for that. Now, La Male is one of those fragrances, like I said, that really, at least for me, really comes into its own beauty like 10 hours after the fact. After you've sprayed it 10 hours later, it's still going strong, and it's actually at its most beautiful point at that point, and where it's really radiating off you, and it's really come into its own maturity. It's mixed with your body, and it smells great. Le Mans. Coming at number 7, a fragrance that gets plenty of compliments, and it gets plenty of compliments from men too. A lot of guys want to know, this is one scent that where you wear, some guys want to know what you're wearing just so they can go buy the same thing. And that is Dolce & Gabbana's The One. Sorry about that. Doesn't really get talked about, sorry about that, there we go. It doesn't really get talked about that much anymore, but it still, you know, accomplishes the job. It's a fruity, it's a nice little fruity, mature type of a mix to it. It doesn't really have that long of a projection or a staying power. In other words, the power or the performance of this fragrance is a little bit down, but the smell more than makes up for this actual scent. So you may want to go maybe a little bit heavier on the trigger when you go ahead and apply this, but this is a compliment getter. This is a compliment getter for both men and both women. It, again, has this vibe to it that just makes it one of those fragrances that you want to go ahead, smell, and compliment. So Dolce & Gabbana's The One. Coming in at number 6, we have Dior Homme Intense. Sorry, I was doing a little bit counting and lost my counting and wanted to make sure that I actually had all the fragrances that I was going to list. But either way, Dior Homme Intense. Dior Homme Intense is a fragrance that I was extremely skeptical about. I had heard a lot about it, this was a while ago. Didn't really buy into it. Even after smelling it, didn't really buy into it. But surprise, as I was wearing it around, this is one fragrance that gets a lot of compliments. People really notice you in New York, where you've got all sorts of smells going around. You know, this one is one that cuts through everything else and lets people know that you are there. It has this lipstick vibe to it, but trust me, the lipstick vibe, you know, is not one, you're not going to go off and smell feminine, basically. And despite the fact that it does have that feminine tinge, it comes across as extremely masculine, if that makes any sense whatsoever. It comes across as just an absolute fantastic scent. It's a very heavy iris scent. It's got a little bit of cocoa in it. And so, you know, think of lipstick, think of kind of cocoa-ish type of a vibe to it, a little bit of vanilla, I believe, and yes, that's Dior Homme Intense. Dior Homme Intense really can't go wrong, especially if you're looking for a fragrance that you can wear on a night out. All right. Number 5, from the house of Tom Ford, Tobacco Vanille. Now, Tobacco Vanille is a fragrance that's, there we go, Tobacco Vanille. It's a fragrance that I never get compliments if I wear this and I'm not wearing a suit. If I'm wearing a suit, I get a compliment on it every single time. Never fail, never guarantee. I usually wear this with a dark olive colored suit, a green suit. That's my green color suit scent, but more of a winter scent. It's tobacco, it's vanilla, heavy tobacco, heavy vanilla, very mixed in, very mature, very sweet, and very dark at the same time. Very mature. Absolutely love this scent, and it gets compliments. Again, every single time I wear a suit with this fragrance, I get a compliment. Not much else to say about that, except for if I'm not wearing a suit, I've never gotten a compliment if I'm not wearing a suit with this scent. So take with that what you will, but it still is up there on the compliment list. Number 5. Number 4, from the house of Chanel, Allure Homme Edition Blanche. It is lemon, a very creamy lemon type of a scent, very uplifting, very refreshing. This scent is another one of those scents that prompts people to ask, what are you wearing, so they can go ahead and buy it. In fact, I think about 4 or 5 people have, you know, done that with this particular scent. Men and women have actually asked, what is it that I'm wearing, so they can go ahead and buy it. It smells that good. It smells that uplifting and refreshing. It is just one of those scents that I really can't say enough about. This is my top spring scent, it happens to be, and it's there for a reason. Allure Homme Edition Blanche. Number 3. Number 3, a fragrance that I've repeatedly said is an excellent compliment fragrance, and that is Express Reserve. It's at number 3. I haven't worn it as much this year as I have before, but still it's up there in terms of compliments. I always wear this one, especially when I'm going to a bar. like an Irish bar or something like that, and it always does absolutely great. It distinguishes itself out from that liquor scent and stuff like that, and so it has its own distinct smell, and that's why it really does so well on it. It has this boozy type of a smell to it. It has this, I want to say booze, cedar, a couple other stuff in it, but yes. Express Reserve, take a look at this. If you're planning on getting this, keep in mind there's two different versions. There's a one that has a more clear liquid, and there's one with a darker liquid. Go with the darker liquid. I found the clear liquid, at least on my skin, doesn't really last at all. It feels like it's been toned down. So, Express Reserve. Number 2, my possibly most complimented work scent that I love wearing to work, that is L'Homme. I can think of almost every, by Yves Saint Laurent, I can think of almost every person that I know at work, at least female, always wants to know what this is when I step into the room with them and I'm having a meeting, just because they want to buy it for their significant other, for their spouse. This is a fragrance that, again, almost never fails to get a compliment. So Yves Saint Laurent's L'Homme, you really can't go wrong with it. It's a very pleasant fragrance for that. I like its night counterpart, Yves Saint La Nuit de l'Homme, but L'Homme for these purposes still gets more compliments as far as I'm concerned. L'Homme. And the most #1 complimented fragrance that I've worn for the past year and a half. This fragrance has elicited the most compliments. This fragrance has elicited the most, what is that, can I buy it? And this fragrance has elicited the most, hey, take a look, smell me. You smell that? I bought it. So, none other than Frappin's L'Humaniste. Yep, that's this baby right here. Gin and tonic, just goodness. And it absolutely gets compliments. That's the best thing that I can actually say. The biggest downfall of this, and the only reason why this probably isn't my favorite scent, is because of the fact that it doesn't have performance. I carry little decants around when I have this one on, just because it lasts, I think at my last clocking it was about 4 or 5 hours basically, and it's gone after that point, or it's at least very soft, and so I have to constantly reapply it. But man, when you smell it, it's just beautiful. And so L'Humaniste is #1 on my list. So if you have any questions whatsoever, let me know what your top fragrances were for the past year, or what top complimented fragrances were for the past year. And if you have any questions whatsoever, if you need to know any information, as always, leave a message down below, send me a comment, do whatever you got to do. Thank you, take care of yourselves, and have a great day.